Welcome back to the channel. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Anyway, today I thought I would share with you one of our businesses is a commercial fishing operation. We're actually do what's called a set net fishery down on the Kenai Peninsula in Alaska. We're located in the Clam Gulch area of the east side set net fishery, and basically we're using gill nets to harvest mainly red salmon. As they're migrating up to spawn in Cook Inlet. We're below the Seelof and Kenai rivers, which have some of the largest salmon runs in the state. Not the largest, but some of the largest. So anyway, it's always this time of year we're getting our gear ready. And I thought I'd show a cool little thing that we've developed over the years. I've been doing this for, well, over 40 years now, since I was a kid, and my father and grandfather before him. And just some of the stuff we developed over time has helped us when we're hanging our gear. So this may be helpful for you. It's of course a little bit different than your area probably, but some of these ideas may be helpful as you adapt those to your fishery. But anyway, we're using basically our nets are 45 mesh deep, 35 fathoms in length, or 75 fathoms stretched. And I hang my gear, which we have a maximum mesh size, but I hang about 5 1/8, 5-inch or 5 1/8 web, and that's really good for catching these big slabber Kenai reds. We do have a maximum web size to protect from unwanted king harvest. The big king salmons, we try not to catch those. So anyway, I hang on a cork line. I use that for both the leads and corks. And we're hanging making every 3 hangings. We'll put a cork on the cork side of this. And we do the same for the leads. And I actually hang the cork onto the line, and then I take up my 3 mesh on the selvage area here with my hanging twine, and then I make 2 more hangings, and then I'll add another cork. And we do the same with the leads, and I actually use 5/8 seine leads on a cork line as well. And we find that this stretches the same amount as the cork line, of course, because it's the same material, and it works better than the internal lead lines, which stretch quite a bit. And we don't want the leads to fan out and for fish to dump out of it. We're dealing with really strong tidal current. So if the lead lines stretch, you do have a tendency to dump fish out of it. So in the strong tidal current, we found that if we're using the same 1/2-inch cork line for both, that it'll stretch evenly and it'll hold the bag so we're not dumping fish out. But here's the one end of it, and I'll just hang these leads just like the corks, and I'll bring the hanging over at first, then I'll pick up the mesh on the webbing at the selvage. But you also you want to retain this from moving back and forth, because that'll wear as you're, especially on a set net, as you're bringing it over and picking it along the gunnels of the boat, has a tendency to hit these, and they move back and forth. They'll pick up the hanging twine up in here, and it'll jam in there and generally wear it, and you'll have, fatigue and failure there. So I hang these individual leads. You can, there's people that'll crimp them on and whatnot. You can get the 9/16 leads to slide over that. It's a little harder. So I just get the 5/8 seine leads and hang those on there. So I'll just show you this hanging bench that we developed, and really this is what this video is about. My brother built this one for me, but basically this is adjustable here for the distance of each hanging, so that when I place the hanging in there and pick up my web, and you'll see me doing that, this post will be my spacing, and if I have my thumb on there, I'll get the adequate spacing. So this is adjustable. We'll make it, this is set at 5 1/8, and then it's times 3 divided by 2 to get my proper hangings. Now, other fisheries can will change the way they hang, and they'll hang out the corks or leads depending on their fishery and how they're fishing their gear. But we basically hang them evenly splitting 5 1/8 times 3 divided by 2 to get the distance here. And then I set this up, and it's basically just looks like probably a 2x10 or 2x12 mounted to this. Let me get a tape measure. It's actually 2x12, and I've got this one at 34 inches long. Seems to be pretty comfortable. It's at 20 inches high. My post sticks up then again up to 29 inches high, and same here. And cut a little V in here that can hold that rope down in there. That's really helpful. And I'll just get on here and just hang a few. It's definitely ergonomic as opposed to where we'd normally hang with it just hanging off and we're standing up, and then it's the tough part is getting your knots tight. And if your knot is not tight, then it starts working on this, sliding back and forth, and soon as it just comes undone and whatnot. So the hanging twine is made to tighten up actually after it gets wet and then dries. It will actually tighten these knots. But the most important part is to get it tight to begin with, so that after you fish your gear, it just tightens up more and you won't have to worry about the knots flopping around. So the most convenient part of this is this bench allows you to get them tight, and I'll show you how. But first I'm going to hang my cork. I've done 3 hangings. It's time for a cork. I've also, this is a used line, and when I stripped the old hanging off, you know, originally they'll have a black line and it was gone, but I did stretch it out and just took a marker and painted a new black line, so that when I'm hanging it, I'm keeping all my knots on top of the black line, so it's not twisting once I'm fishing the gear. I don't want any twists in it, or the tendency to roll and create a rope-a-dope, as they call it, which isn't good. So I'm coming up under here, tying my double half hitch, and now I'm ready to hang. I'm going to pick up 3 hangings with my needle, and then I'm making the measurement basically by slipping it in here where my line is. And now this adjustment's critical. Once I have my thumb here, it doesn't matter. This can be up here like this, but I want to make sure I have enough slack here. And everyone does it a little bit different, but if I have it too tight, then the net's fishing like this, and that's not good, because when it gets really tight out there and the tide comes, it'll just break your hanging. Or if it's too loose, then it could have a tendency when I'm setting the net out of my boat to get a cork up under a hanging, or for fish to jump through there, and then that creates a problem too. So we'll start over, line up my mark, and I'm just giving it a little more slack so that it can fish good. And then I'm taking up my come through there twice. Forget what we just call this a hanging knot. Okay, so here's where it's really helpful, getting these knots tight. I just make a couple loops around my post, and then I'm pulling, and I'm using my leg to actually apply leverage, and that baby's tight. You are gonna have a hard time getting it that tight without applying a lot of force or hurting your hand, and it's just not necessary with this. I'll do it a couple more times here. Take up 3 more. My my back's kind of sore. I've got a damaged disc, so this also is, like I said, very ergonomic and makes hanging almost enjoyable. Not quite enjoyable, but more enjoyable. Take a little bit getting used to, but overall, by the time you're halfway through one side of the net, you are going to be so thankful that you invested in the time of making a bench like this. It's just so much different. Just amazing. I've been using mine here for I think about 6 years or so, and it just changed the way I hang nets. Also keeps it really accurate. I don't worry about marking the spacings of my hangings or anything like that. I'm just using that pole there to make the measurement every time, and it usually comes out just about perfect. Give or take a couple webs, but good enough for the salmon I kill. So there you go, hanging bench. Super helpful tool, and I got a few more nets to hang this season, so I'll get back to that. But I appreciate you watching. Encourage you to subscribe to our channel and give you more videos like this. Help you save money, save time, save your back, hang more nets, catch more fish, have more fun. That's what it's all about. All right, thanks again. Have a good one. Take care.